When Dishonored was released in October of 2012, it didn't just step into the spotlight, it carved a space of its own in a landscape dominated by linear action titles and spectacle-driven shooters. Developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks, Dishonored was something rare, an original IP in a sea of sequels. Built on the design philosophies of a bygone era, it wasn't content to merely entertain, it wanted to give the player freedom, real, mechanical, narrative freedom, in a way that had largely vanished from mainstream game development at the time. Set in the plague-ridden, steampunk-infused city of Dunwall, Dishonored placed players in the shoes of Corvo Attano, a once-trusted bodyguard framed for the assassination of the Empress he was sworn to protect. From that spark of injustice erupts a firestorm of revenge, subterfuge, and supernatural intervention. Corvo's journey is one of blood and shadows, secrets and silence, where the player is as much a storyteller as the developers themselves. But what truly makes Dishonored exceptional wasn't just its setting, or its story, or its gameplay and mechanics. At its heart, this is an immersive sim. A genre born from the legacies of Thief, The Dark Project, System Shock, and Deus Ex. These are games that trust the player, that hand over tools rather than solutions, and that reward experimentation as much as the execution. In Dishonored, you're not told how to solve a problem, you're dropped into a city, handed a knife and a handful of arcane powers, and left to figure it out for yourself. This was a gamble. Immersive sims have always struggled commercially, seen as too smart or too niche for the broader market. But Dishonored proves something important. That intelligent design and player agency didn't have to be sacrificed for accessibility or fun. With its striking painterly visuals, tight mechanics, and player-driven ethos, Dishonored felt like a throwback to a bygone era and a refreshing revolution all at once. What followed was more than just critical acclaim. Dishonored spawned sequels, DLC, spiritual successes, and perhaps more significantly, a renowned appreciation for the immersive sim genre in the modern era. Games like 2017's Prey, Deathloop, and even indie hits like Gloomwood owe a debt to what Arcane accomplished with Dishonored. Dishonored is one of the most important games of the 2010s. Whether you ghosted through the campaign without spilling a drop of blood, or left a wake of chaos and corpses in your path, the beauty of Dishonored is that both are valid and equally compelling. This is Dishonored, where you're not the hero, you're the consequence. At the center of Dishonored's impact lies a narrative that is deceptively simple on paper. An Imperial bodyguard is framed for regicide and must navigate a web of corruption, betrayal, and revenge. But that simplicity is layered with richness of world building, character motivation, and player-driven nuance that transforms into something far more compelling. Dunwall isn't just a backdrop, it's a living, rotting character in itself, and every choice the player makes resonates not just through the narrative arc, but through the very streets, alleys, and gutters of this rich world. The story begins with Corvo Attano, a loyal protector of Empress Jessamine Coldwyn and her daughter Emily. After returning from a diplomatic mission to seek aid for a devastating plague, Corvo is caught in a palace coup. The Empress is assassinated, Emily is kidnapped, and Corvo is blamed and imprisoned. It's a classic narrative hook. Portrayed hero, unjustly accused, set to reclaim both his name and purpose. But where other games might wallow in cliche, Dishonored plays its cards with restraint and intelligence. The early hours from Corvo's daring escape to his first few assassinations establish a pattern. This is your story to shape. The plot isn't driven forward solely by cutscenes and exposition. Instead, it's revealed through overheard conversations, scattered journals, visual storytelling, and the consequences of your actions. You aren't told the city is dying, you see it. In coughing citizens, the rats swarming through alleys, the abandoned homes, and hastily constructed plague walls. Corvo himself is a silent protagonist, and yet the game crafts a surprisingly emotional narrative through implication, interaction, and reaction. Characters respond differently depending on your methods. The world evolves or decays based on your conduct. Do you become the avenging spirit of Dunwall, feared and respected, or do you remain the loyal protector, striving to minimize suffering even as you dismantle the regime that ruined you? Arcane's vision of Dunwall is perhaps one of the most intricately realized cities in video games. Inspired by 19th century London with a heavy dose of steampunk and whale oil powered industrialization, Dunwall is a setting thick with atmosphere. Its walls are soot-stained, its streets are flooded with quarantine signs, weepers, who are inflicted plague victims, and military checkpoints. It feels oppressive yet alive, and the kind of place where power is hoarded, injustice is institutionalized, and hope is fleeting. The city is dying, not just from plague, but from the decay of its ruling class. Nobles throw lavish parties in guarded mansions while the lower districts are left to rot. Whaling, the source of Dunwall's energy and wealth, is both a practical detail and a metaphor for industrial exploitation. The towering ships that carved out leviathans that hint at a world beyond what the player sees, one full of dark traditions and systematic cruelty. Through scattered documents and environmental detail, Dishonored fleshes out its politics, its economy, its religion, and even its philosophy. The Abbey of the Everyman enforces a rigid theocracy, condemning magic and heresy. Meanwhile, the Outsider, a supernatural entity that marks Corvo and gives him powers, represents a force beyond morality, encouraging experimentation and choice rather than preaching right or wrong. Dunwall is a city under siege from within, and its collapse is as much spiritual as it is biological. While Corvo remains mute, the cast surrounding him delivers the narrative weight. Emily Caldwin's arc from kidnapped heir to eventual ruler is shaped entirely by the player's actions. Save her with honor and she becomes a just queen. Rule through chaos and she may become a tyrant. The dynamic underscores the game's commitment to agency, where even indirect decisions have lasting consequences. The Loyalist Conspiracy, the group of rebels aiding Corvo's quest, is a microism of the city's complex morality. Initially presented as allies, their motivations soon reveal shades of self-intent, idealism, and outright manipulation. Characters like Admiral Havelock, Trevor Pembleton, and Celia aren't just mission givers, they are political figures with ambitions and limitations, rendered believable through superb voice acting and excellent writing. Antagonists such as High Overseer Campbell, the Boyle sisters, and the Lord Regent himself are crafted not just as obstacles, but as reflections of the society they helped break. These are power-hungry, cruel, decadent, but they're not caricatures. Often their environment tells us more about them than their words. The Lady Boyle mission, for instance, reveals through a single party the decadence and disconnect from the elite to the rest of Dunwall. Then there's the Outsider, part narrator, part philosopher, part enigma. His role is central but elusive. He gives Corvo supernatural abilities but never demands a particular use. His monologues are ambiguous, challenging the player to consider the meaning of their choices without ever declaring judgment. In many ways, the Outsider is Dishonored's conscience, not in a moralistic sense, but in an existential one. Perhaps the most impressive feat of Dishonored's narrative is that it's woven not through cutscenes, but through the systems itself. You're never forced to play in a certain way. You're never punished for avoiding conflict. Instead, every decision you make, to kill or not, to sneak or fight, to explore or rush, shapes the world's response. The Chaos system is the clearest expression of this, adjusting NPC behavior, world state, and ending based on how violent or stealthy you actually are. Importantly, the game never moralizes. It does not insist that stealth is the right or violence is wrong. Instead, it lets you witness the consequences. More death leads to more plague victims. Guards become more hostile. The city descends into greater fear. In a lesser game, this might feel like a punishment. In Dishonored, it feels like your responsibility. Even the way information is delivered reflects this ethos. Hidden ruins and bone charms often come with cryptic whispers from the Outsider. Diaries scattered in rooms hint at tragedies unseen. Overheard dialogue offers insights into the guards' lives and family losses. A room left untouched for too long accumulates dust and blood, the kind of passive storytelling that rewards attentiveness over impatience. This dynamic storytelling is what separates Dishonored from most narrative-driven games. It trusts the players to interpret, to infer, and to inhabit the role of Corvo Attano, not through pre-scripted choices, but through your lived actions. In most games, narrative is what you're told. In Dishonored, narrative is what you do, and what the world does back to you. It's not just the story of Corvo's revenge or Emily's future, it's the story of Dunwall, a city teetering on the edge of collapse, and your role in tipping it one way or the other. It's a story about power, how it's taken, how it's used, and the cost. And most of all, it's a story that never stops being your story. If narrative is the soul of Dishonored, then the gameplay is its spine. Intricate, flexible, and incredibly responsive. At the heart of the game lies a mechanical philosophy that prioritizes player agency over all else. Every mission, every tool, every enemy, and every system is designed to serve one purpose: to give you the freedom to approach objectives however you see fit. Whether you're a ghost who leaves no trace or a storm that leaves no survivors, the game never breaks, it bends to your will. Let's break down Dishonored's mechanics across the major systems: stealth, combat, the supernatural powers, the movement, level interaction, and the AI's behavior. Stealth in Dishonored is not a side feature, it's a full, complex, rewarding, challenging, and completely viable from start to finish system. You can crouch to move quietly, peek through keyholes, lean around corners, and hide in cover. Lighting plays a major role, though unlike Thief, darkness isn't a mechanic tracked by the HUD. Instead, you must rely on outline of sight and environmental cues, heightening the game's immersion. Sound matters. Running, sword fights, breaking glass, even sprinting on wood can alert guards. Whistling guards, muttering overseers, and coughing weepers become navigational puzzles where you wait, watch, and time your movements with patience. Importantly, stealth isn't binary. Getting caught doesn't mean instant failure. You can flee, fight, or hide. Dishonored's stealth system encourages experimentation. Want to blink behind a guard, choke him unconscious, hide the body in a dumpster and vanish through a second story window? Totally valid. Want to possess a rat and scurry through the vent? That's just as valid. Stealth also offers story progression and endings via the chaos system. The more violence you unleash, the higher your chaos score becomes. The world shifts in tone accordingly. But this isn't just morality dressing, it's a mechanical feedback loop between how you play and about how the game responds. Combat in Dishonored is an option, not a requirement. A richly developed one, but one you may not want to choose. It's fast, responsive, and designed for immersion. Corvo wields a short sword in his right hand and can hold a secondary weapon or power in his left. This creates a real-time dual wield system that feels dynamic and tactical. You can parry, counterkill with brutal efficiency, blocking at the right time will stagger an enemy, opening them up for a satisfying finishing blow. But direct combat can be chaotic, risky, and hard, especially when facing multiple foes. Enemies call for reinforcements, flank you, and sometimes use grenades or guns to break your rhythm. The gadgets you have at your disposal include a combat crossbow that fires lethal or sleeping darts, a pistol, grenades, and spring razors, deployable traps that shred enemies who trigger them. These tools can be used to fight or set up traps before one even begins. The joy of wiring a spring razor to a door frame and watching it silently eliminate a patrolling enemy while you slip past unnoticed is so good. That said, Dishonored never glamorizes violence, at least not uncritically. The animation work, voice acting, and sheer messiness of combat suggest that every kill means something. You're reminded again and again, this isn't a power fantasy, it's a world where killing has consequences. Let's talk about the powers. The most distinctive gameplay layer comes from these supernatural powers gifted by the outsider. These powers, unlocked by discovering ruins scattered across Dunwall, transform how you approach every encounter and exploration opportunity. They're also the reason Dishonored feels like your game. You choose what to upgrade, what to ignore, and how to combine them. Let's talk about some of the powers. You've got Blink, instantly teleport short distances. It's the cornerstone of vertical exploration and silent infiltration. You have Dark Vision, which allows you to see enemies' cones through walls, essentially for stealthy players. Possession, temporarily control human or animals. Possess a rat and slip through a vent, or a guard and walk through a checkpoint. Bend time, slow or stop time entirely. Can be used to dodge bullets, reposition, or assassinate in style. There's Devouring Swarm, summon rats to eat corpses and enemies, useful for distraction and cleanup. Then there's Wind Blast, the kinetic shockwave that knocks enemies off their feet or rooftops. Every power can be upgraded, and each upgrade supports different playstyles. Blink's extended range makes aerial exploration easier. Possession's second level allows you to chain host bodies, rat to fish to guard. Time manipulation becomes a deadly puzzle tool when combined with traps. The brilliance of these powers is they don't have prescribed uses. They're sand in your hand, shape them how you like. Creative players will find ways to solve problems that developers never even expected. Now, Dishonored features a light RPG system tied to exploration. Runes unlock powers, while bone charms, mystical artifacts scattered throughout the world, provide passive buffs. You might find one that lets you climb faster, another that increases your movement speed and stealth. Upgrades can be bought through the black market via Piero, the eccentric inventor at the Hound Pits pub. Weapon improvements, gadgets efficiency, and armor enhancements are all optional, meaning a pacifist can avoid investing in tools of death, while a chaos-focused player can trick out their arsenal to full lethality. The beauty of the system is you don't need everything. You customize your build, not by following a meta, but by choosing what feels right on how you want to approach the game. It's a progression system that enhances freedom rather than constraining it. Dishonored may be a first-person game, but it plays with vertical space like a 3D platformer. Rooftops, ledges, balconies, chandeliers, windows, everything is accessible and often essential for bypassing guards or locating alternate paths. This emphasis on verticality distinguishes Dishonored from other stealth games. Blink lets you scale buildings, vault over walls, and escape danger by going up rather than away. It opens the world in all directions, rewarding players who look beyond eye level. Sliding, mantling, ledge grabbing, and sprint jumping are all responsive and smooth. Combine Blink with a mid-air kill, or chain it to cover huge distances, the game feels good to move through. This fluidity turns movement into a weapon, a defense mechanism, and a navigation tool all at once. Guards in Dishonored are smart, not omniscient. They're reactive. They notice open doors, missing comrades, noises, or bloodstains. They coordinate, call for backup, and search with flashlights or dogs. But they also forget, return to routine, and exhibit human flaws. This balance of competence and imperfection is what makes stealth so thrilling. You're not gaming the system, you're outwitting real patterns. Alert phases aren't absolute. If a guard sees you, he may shout but not pursue if you vanish. If you're seen too often, the world escalates. New checkpoints, increased patrols, and more hostility. The AI also adapts to chaos levels. Kill more and Dunwall becomes darker. Citizens act more afraid. Guard numbers swell. The final missions grow more dangerous. This isn't just window dressing. It's a systematic evolution based on how you've been playing. What truly elevates Dishonored is the way that all the mechanics we just spoke about react. Blink plus possession equals escape through a tight space. Bend time plus grenades equals walk away from a room full of corpses before they hit the ground. Drop assassinations, spring razor traps, swarming rats, sleep darts, mid-jump, all valid, all viable, all fun, all you. There is no correct way to play. You want to teleport between rooftops, possess a fish, swim through a drain, reappear in a wine cellar, and emerge behind your target? You can. You want to walk through a front door, sword in hand, killing everything that moves? You can do that too. This is the essence of the immersive sim. Interlocking systems that prioritize intention over instruction. You're not playing Dishonored so much as orchestrating it. It's a symphony of murder. Few games give you as much control as Dishonored. Fewer still do so without compromising design integrity. This is a game where stealth, combat, powers, and level geometry aren't separate parts, they're strands of the same web. And like a master assassin, you must move through the web with purpose, power, and precision. Whether you're playing for the 10th time or the first, Dishonored's mechanics remain endlessly rich, rewarding, and refreshingly open. In the pantheon of game design, few achievements shine quite as brightly as Dishonored's level structure. Each mission isn't just a place to be navigated, it's a living puzzle box, dense with alternate paths, vertical layers, systematic interactions, and narrative implications. Arcane Studios didn't just craft environments, they crafted miniature ecosystems, places that respond to players' intent rather than dictate a path. Whether you're navigating a plague-ridden distillery, infiltrating a corrupt overseer's compound, or crushing an opulent masquerade ball, the core design principles remain consistent. Players' choice isn't encouraged, it's essential. It's the point. To truly appreciate Dishonored's level design, it's worth highlighting some key missions that demonstrate Arcane's philosophy in full force. So let's talk about a few that really highlight the amazing work they did. Mission 2, the assassination of High Overseer Campbell. This early mission sets the tone for the rest of the game. You're tasked with assassinating High Overseer Campbell, a religious zealot and political puppet master. The Overseer's office is a fortified building with a tightly guarded plaza surrounded by patrols, civilians, and alleys crawling with plague victims. Already the game offers multiple points of entry. A side gate guarded by a single officer, an open second floor window, a sewer tunnel beneath the building, or simply climbing rooftops. Inside, you can choose to kill Campbell or render him unconscious and brand him a heretic, a non-lethal option that sets the stage for the game's moral complexity. But what makes this mission exceptional is how it adapts to your choices. If you poison Campbell's drink by mixing two together before he meets his military rival, both men die. If you switch the glasses, only one perishes. These aren't optional cutscenes you watch. They're emergent events based on the player's action, a story that you craft. Mission 4, the Royal Physician. This mission sends you to abduct Anton Sokolov, the Empire's leading scientist. His home is a maze of security, electrified walkways, and patrolling guards. But it's also vertically rich, with balconies, elevator shafts, and hidden crawl spaces. You even discover side content involving Piero and his rival technologies. The mission also introduces thematic storytelling. Sokolov's home is filled with grotesque medical equipment and decadent art, revealing his moral ambiguity without a single line of exposition. Then there's Mission 5, Lady Boyle's Last Party. This is the crown jewel of Dishonored's mission design. Here, Corvo attends a high society masquerade ball, where 3 Boyle sisters are present, but only one is the actual target. To complete the mission, you must first uncover her identity, then decide how to eliminate her. What makes this mission legendary is its sheer openness. You can blend into the crowd, dance with guests, gather gossip, sneak into the estate, or climb in through the servant quarters. The non-lethal route involves a suitor who offers to take care of her, a morally questionable option that raises deeper questions about justice. Every element, the masks, the music, the wine, the suspicion blends gameplay with atmosphere. It's not just about infiltration, it's about the social deduction, performance, and manipulation. Mission 7, the Flooded District. A stark contrast to the elegant Boyle estate, this level is grim, broken, and wide open. It's less about precision and more about survival. You're exiled here after a betrayal and must fight your way back to the city centre. The Flooded District is filled with weepers, assassins, and ruins. Vertical space is emphasized heavily, and rooftops offering safer navigation rather than the rat-infested streets. The mission also reintroduces Dowd, the assassin who killed the Empress, giving the player a chance to face or spare him. The level leans heavily on mood and consequence. It's a physical representation of the story's moral descent and the consequences of trust and power. Each level is dripping with narrative detail. Apartments you can enter off the beaten path often tell entire stories in a single room. A suicide note on a table, a child's toy next to an abandoned crib, blood on the floor. These are not quest objectives, they're ambient world building. They've added weight and texture to the setting. Side objectives are seamlessly integrated into the world. Slackjaw, a criminal kingpin, offers alternate routes and rewards if you aid him. A beggar might give you a key to a shortcut. Observing a conversation might reveal a backdoor entrance. The sense of place in Dishonored is unmatched. Each district feels like a real part of Dunwall, not just designed for gameplay, but for life. The way the level connects physically and thematically to the world builds immersion that few games manage. As mentioned earlier, the chaos system isn't just the ending switch. It manifests in levels as they evolve. Kill too many guards and the future missions become more militarized. Let plague victims suffer and weepers become more common. This feedback loop means that your previous choices shape your current challenges. It's not just about difficulty, it's about tone. Low chaos runs feel melancholy and introspective. High chaos runs feel oppressive and violent. The mood of each level changes, not in hard-coded ways, but through dynamic system shifts. Big decisions shape the story, but some of the most powerful choices in Dishonored come in the quiet moments. The ones no quest log tracks. Do you help the dying plague victim find peace? Do you loot a starving family home for supplies? Do you kill a sleeping guard or sneak past without waking him? These decisions are yours, and the game won't reward or penalize you. Instead, it trusts you to carry the weight of your actions. There's something uniquely powerful about finishing a mission and realizing that no one saw you, no one died, and yet the entire structure of power has changed. This trust in the player is one of Dishonored's boldest decisions. It offers true role-playing in the purest sense, not through stats or classes, but through conduct. You play not just as Corvo, you become him, and the world responds accordingly. One of the most tangible reflections of your actions is Emily Coldwin. Throughout the game, she's positioned as both your surrogate daughter and the rightful heir to the Empire, but her fate is not fixed. In the Low Chaos playthrough, Emily becomes a wise and benevolent empress, inspired by Corvo's restraint. She remembers him as a guiding force, one who led with mercy, not fear. In a High Chaos run, however, Emily's arc darkens. She becomes a ruthless ruler, jaded by bloodshed and betrayal. In some endings, she even dies, leaving Dunwall in chaos. Your legacy becomes one of destruction, however well-intentioned. This isn't a cinematic trick. It's a culmination of systematic storytelling. You shape this future, not because you picked option B in a dialogue box, but because of how you moved through a world. That's real narrative consequence. That's real player agency. One of the greatest benefits of Dishonored's emphasis on choice is how it encourages replayability. Your first playthrough might be a chaotic rampage, your second might be a ghost run, never spotted, never killing, and each run feels fresh because the world feels different. Enemies change, reactions shift, and level layouts feel new when you try alternate paths. More importantly, you yourself change. The player becomes more aware, more cautious, more daring. The game doesn't just reward mastery of mechanics, it rewards moral and strategic experimentation. Dishonored isn't just about right or wrong, it's about choice and consequence. It's about building a world that remembers what you did, not through scripted outcomes, but through natural responses. The chaos system, the emergent storytelling, the impact on Emily, and the freedom of approach. All these elements combine to create one of the most compelling expressions of player agency in video game history. In Dunwall, you're not just a blade in the dark, you're the author of fate, and what you choose to write, in blood or in mercy, becomes the story Dishonored tells. At first glance, Dishonored looks unlike anything else in its generation. Characters have stylized features, sharp cheekbones, exaggerated brows, elongated forms. Buildings lean and warp with perspective, often resembling architectural caricatures more than photorealistic structures. Textures are painted with a brushstroke-like quality, soft in detail but rich in character. Shadows are heavy, almost inky, and lighting is often dramatic, with silky greens and muted oranges bathing entire districts. This is not a budget limitation, it's a choice. Victor Antonov, known for designing Half-Life 2's City 17, led the art direction. But where City 17 was sterile and brutalist, Dunwall is diseased and baroque. The result is a city that feels like a living oil painting, simultaneously beautiful and grotesque. Every element reinforces the themes of class, disparity, moral rot, and technical overreaching. The environments are dense with visual storytelling. A surgeon's apartment reveals blood-smeared tools and whale oil diagrams on the wall. A nobleman's estate is decorated with lavish tapestries and full-course meals. Even as the streets outside are filled with corpses, there's no need for exposition. The world shows you what it is, and that's infinitely more powerful. Even the UI reflects the world design philosophy. The interface is minimalist, keeping the player immersed in the world. Health and mana bars fade out when not needed, and even the power indicators are subtle. The screen never feels cluttered, a small but crucial decision in a game where attention to the environment is everything. Dishonored's character models veer towards stylized rather than naturalistic. This serves two purposes. First, it gives the game a unique visual identity, separating it from the photoreal trend of its era. Second, it existentializes personality through design. High Overseer Campbell's face is gaunt with sunken eyes and a twisted expression that suggests cruelty. Slackjaw's grin, missing teeth, and haphazard clothing communicate his background long before he speaks. And Emily, even as a child, looks weary, as she's already seen too much. Even the guard uniforms and civilian attire carry meaning. The elite are adorned in intricate vests and clean boots. Street-level workers wear ragged, stained clothes. Each character model tells you something before a single word is even spoken. This is one of Dishonored's strengths. It communicates story through every frame. The voice cast in Dishonored includes some heavy hitters too. Susan Sarandon, Carrie Fisher, John Slattery, Lena Headey, and Michael Madsen, among others. But most important than star power is how measured the performances are. Nobody overacts. There's a restrained weariness in most voices, fitting for a world that has suffered far too long. NPC dialogue is smartly written and naturally delivered. Guards have routines, jokes and fears. Civilians whisper rumors. Overhearing a couple arguing about food rations might tell you more about Dunwall's decay than a dozen exposition dumps. Dialogue reinforces the setting's emotional weight. It's not just there to instruct you, but to reflect the lived-in reality of the world. Corvo notably does not speak. While this is a point of debate among some fans, the decision enhances immersion. You are Corvo. The silence lets you project your choices onto him. It also lends a sense of distance and focus to the world. Everyone talks around you, but your actions speak louder than any words could. Now, Dishonored isn't for everyone, and that's what sort of makes it special. It requires patience, observation, and a willingness to fail creatively. Players who crave fast-paced action or hand-holding might bounce off its slow burn and open-ended design. But for those who relish exploration, experimentation, and narrative consequence, it's a gift. It rewards curiosity like few other games. It makes you feel clever, not because the game said, hey, good job, but because you figured something out that felt uniquely yours. That sense of ownership over your approach, your actions, and your impact is at the heart of the immersive sim, and Dishonored truly delivers it in spades. So a decade later, does this game still hold up? Abso-frickin-lutely. Even 10 plus years later, Dishonored remains not just playable, but exemplary. Its systems are timeless, its design philosophies have aged better than many flashier titles from the same era, its emphasis on player freedom and consequence have only become more relevant in a world increasingly filled with on-rail narratives and open-world checklists. New players can dive in today via the Definitive Edition and experience a game that still feels modern in its sensibilities. And returning fans will find new paths, new tricks, and new questions with every replay. So in short, Dishonored is not just a game you beat, it's a game that you inhabit. And you will love it. Arcane's Dishonored is a masterclass in interactive storytelling, systematic gameplay, and world building. It's an experience that defines and redefines what the immersive sim can be in the modern age. With its compelling blend of stealth, supernatural powers, morally ambiguous choices, and unforgettable environments, Dishonored earns its place among the all-time greats. It doesn't just deserve to be played, it deserves to be studied, remembered, and celebrated. And that's why Dishonored is one of my favorite games of all time. Well, that is the end of the review. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to listen, watch, hang out. I really do appreciate it. I will definitely be tackling the other games in this series in hopes that one day we do get an official Dishonored 3. I know there's Death of the Outsider, and people say that's sort of the end of the trilogy, but I would really love to see what we could do with a sort of modern Dishonored, a Dishonored done with today's tech. I think would be really, really cool. I've always thought, what about a Dishonored game with the Nemesis system? Now, I know Warner Brothers has the Nemesis system, but I think that would be super cool to see. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Did you guys enjoy the review? Let me know what your thoughts are on Dishonored. I'll be down there checking out the comments and having a few conversations. But thank you, everybody, for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed your time here, please like and subscribe for more reviews, reactions, and breakdowns of some of gaming's greats. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, may all of your games be good ones. And I will catch you guys in the next video.